All right, Shalom. Giving all praises, giving all glory and honor unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000, the rest of the hopeful elect out there. This is your brother, the priest, Desire One from GMS Atlanta, back with another edifying video. And the image of the beast prophesied in Revelation the 13th chapter is beginning to form. It's beginning to speak, and it's beginning to manifest. So I speak a lot about the coming mark of the beast here at GMS from the apostles on down. You know, we've been constantly doing videos teaching about the chip implant technology, going into the chat GPT, going back and forth with different Israelite groups, going into different information and relevant news to give you the truth about what's to come. Now, understanding that the Motb is the chip implant, what we call the micro C hip, knowing that that technology is going to be mandated around the world to all the citizens of these different countries, there has to be a system put in place that is going to be utilized by that technology. And that's what we are seeing with the emerging of digital ID, digital currency, and other digital platforms that are being set up by these different countries. So I have an article here, and this is about the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Now, you know what, let me do this, because when you go into the scriptures and you go into the prophecies, the key component or the key characteristic of the prophecy of the mark, the Motb, will be based upon commerce. It will be based upon economic and payment transactions, buying and selling. So this is Revelation 13 and 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that has already been identified as a microchip implant. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And the key, like I said, the key thing about this prophecy is that the mark will be used for buying and selling. So there has to be some kind of currency in place that the mark will utilize. And if we're talking about implantable technology here, that is not going to be paper bills and metal coins. And it's a reality now that all over the world, different companies and businesses are going cashless. Australia is going cashless. Certain places here in the U.S. is going cashless. Certain places in the Middle East are already cashless. Okay, China, Japan, Europe, a lot of places and a lot of businesses, a lot of companies are not taking paper cash and coins for payment. You know, you either gotta pay with your debit or credit card. You know, whether you tap it, whether you insert the chip, which that was a precursor to what's to come. You also have smartphone technology. which can be used for buying and selling. You know, you got Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, all these different digital payment options that are available. So now what we're beginning to see is that government entities and government agencies and alliances are getting involved. It's going from private banks and to government entities getting involved in individual transactions. And that's what I want to read about up here. So this is Revelation 13 and 15. And well, let me read verse 14. It says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. The deceiving will be done by the beast," which is the revival of the Roman Empire in these last days and modern times, which are made up of Europe, the NATO alliance countries, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the U.S., America. And its influence has deceived and is deceiving the people all over the earth. It says, by the means of those miracles, which are technology, okay, technological marvels, innovation, okay, being able to sit on a chair at a desk and use a keyboard like like an old typewriter, but then there's a screen and images and words pop up and all information that you can search for pops up on that screen. That's a miracle technology. I mean, we know that's called a computer, but that's something that wasn't seen back in the past. Okay. So what John was saying here when he was writing this down, he was saying that these things are miracles. Being able to create a new way to wage war by splitting the atom and creating the bomb. And what he calls here dropping fire from heaven. When you read up, right, in verse 13, that's a miracle. Okay, let me read that. Verse 13, "And he doeth great wonders, technological marvels, right, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven." And who was able to make fire come down from heaven? It was Edom. They took concepts from cannonballs, concepts, because you had it's said, and I would have to do more research on this, that fireworks is a Chinese invention, but those things don't equate to devastating destruction. Okay? Cannonballs only do so much damage. A gun can only do so much damage, but to actually drop bombs from heaven, from the sky, you got B-2 bombers, you got drones now. During World War II, you had the bombs designated Fat Man and Little Boy, which hit Japan, Nagasaki, and Hiroshima, and did devastating radioactive damage, which lasted for years to come, decades, up until this point. Who was able to do that power? The beast, the dragon, as I should say, the dragon, which is the nation of Edom. Those things John saw was a wonder. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. The miracles is the technology, all right? Being able to create a bomb or a nuclear missile, okay? That is a part of technological advancements, which the Bishop Nate mentioned on one of his recent interviews. Apostle Hall went into it. He ties technology into the Motb, but he won't say that it's a microchip implant. So verse 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, all the different people, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And that beast that had a wound but then lived again is the Roman Empire. Just as Esau, Edom ruled Rome, and you could do your history on that information has come out, that Rome was actually an empire from the nation of Edom, as far as the empire is concerned. But you do have the people of Rome and Europe that were actually of the sons of Japhet. But the empire, that rulership, that was underneath the rule of Esau. So they're going to deceive the world to make it an image which is a new way of life, okay? What you see around you, your surroundings, the way you interact with the world is going to change. I mean, when you think about it, the way that we interact with the world changes every decade. Now it's at the point where it's changing every 1 to 5 years. We're seeing a drastic change in the way we are looking at the world around us, you know, the outside world, how you deal with your family and your homes, and yourself as an individual. Things are changing. That's the power of the beast making a new image. And what we're seeing being created is a digital image, a digital world, okay, a digital system. Now verse 15, and he had power to give life on the image, to the image of the beast, unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak. How does the image speak? By these different politicians, these different billionaires. We got something called Palantir, which is a major really surveillance company platform that would be all over the world using AI. So you have Palantir, okay? These things are speaking now. And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And if you're not tied into this digital system, or they're going to surveil you, implant you with a device, and watch you, control you, see your transactions, then you'll be put to death. And that's the goal of Esau's New World Order, his agenda. The goal of the Illuminati is to put a chip in everybody and then gain control of the planet Earth, like a damn supervillain. But this is what we're seeing around us. And like I read here in verses 16 and 17, it is going to be through that implantable device that individual people, no matter your status, you will be able to buy and sell in no other way. So let's go back to this here. So it says IMF study suggests interoperability. IMF study suggests interoperability boosts digital payments use, because this is what they want you to do. They want people to start to use less cash, less ATMs and less cash. See, now what they're doing too with the ATMs is now you're going to these stores and they're putting these Bitcoin machines in them, which is digital currency. So instead of you getting cash and getting out, you know, 10s, 20s, $50 bills, $100 bills out of an ATM, you'll just transfer your digital currency between accounts. Pay attention to what's going on in your local hood, man. It says the International Monetary Fund has published a report on growing retail digital payments, which is a significant aim of many digital public infrastructure and financial inclusion programs worldwide. Why is the IMF getting involved in this? You know, how I pay for my groceries or how I pay my bills, because it's a part of the beast system. It says specifically, the study looks at the value of interoperability as policymakers globally are looking to boost retail digital payment use. Let's look up this word interoperability. And when you look it up, interoperability, the ability of computer systems or software to exchange and make use of information. And that's what they want to do. It says even a weapon system. So they're developing these digital platforms and systems so they can interact with one another and exchange information, whether it's payments, whether it's your records. Okay, but this here is dealing with retail digital payment use. Okay. So now let's go to another article. This is from June 27, 2025. So this is last week. Let's go to the next one, because I know I read a lot in these articles, but I don't want to make this too long. So the next one says, auditor demands better accounting from IRS for biometric identity proofing. Now, the recent news with the IRS is they've been, since Trump came in office, and when Elon Musk was the head of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, there has been a lot of layoffs from different government agencies, including the IRS. Okay, so let's read into this. It says the U.S. Internal Revenue Service's effort to modernize digital identity verification stands at the intersection of fraud prevention. So this is the selling point of this deal here. It says AI governance and public trust, revealing both significant progress and pressing oversight challenges. Over the last decade, the agency has faced an uphill battle against identity theft and refund fraud that once siphoned billions annually from the Department of Treasury. And then, you know, remember the whole situation during 2020, was it 2020 or 2021, with the PPP loans. That was a lot of our people got, a lot of people, but especially Jake, got jacked up behind the fraud in the IRS and the government behind those loans. So what's their solution? Put in AI, put in biometrics, and change things up. And then I believe that that's part of the reason why they're laying these agents off that you speak to at these IRS offices. It says, in response, IRS implemented a digital identity proofing strategy centered on biometric technologies, particularly facial recognition through a secure access digital interface, SADI, and a partnership with the private credential provider ID.me. Yeah, because if you do your taxes through the IRS, you go to the website, it's a part of ID.me. The ID.me website comes up, and you put in all your information, and so that's already being set up. So it says SADI utilizes the National Institute of Standards and Technology Special Publication 800-63-3 Compliant Credential Service Provider technology to enable people to securely access and use IRS online tools and applications. So if they can go online and do that, what need do they have for people to work there? Okay, let's see. While verification pass rates have more than doubled since the shift from 30% to 40% under outdated password systems to over 70% with biometrics, they might do like facial recognition and things like that. I'm not sure. But that would be a part of biometrics. The program's opaque governance structure and over-reliance on a single vendor have raised concerns. The digital identity landscape for the IRS transformed dramatically after 2020. Yeah. Spurred by pandemic-era demands and the urgency of distributing benefits like the advanced child tax credit, the IRS accelerated deployment of biometric ID verification through an existing Treasury contract with ID.me. So let's see. So basically, to use their website, you got to submit a lot of private information. It says your driver's license, selfies, right, facial recognition algorithms. I'm just reading through here. So this is dealing with the website, but I can definitely see those layoffs. I can see those layoffs as a reason to add AI also to their system. So I'm just scrolling through. You can pause it and look at this, or just type in the title of the article and look it up yourself. But this is the point. So they want to add digital ID and biometrics to the IRS system and change how you do your taxes, and they want to, as it says here, prevent their systems from facing fraud. It says the challenge now is execution. Technology modernization cannot be an end itself. If the IRS is to fulfill its dual mission of taxpayer service and fraud prevention, it must anchor its digital ID strategy in transparency, oversight, and user-centric design. The success of the IRS digital identity program and of similar efforts across the federal government. Remember, they laid off a lot of other workers too in the federal government. So, maybe they'll hire some back, but then they got to get newer digital ID credentials. Maybe they're just trying to revamp the system. Not sure. But like I said, the image of the beast is transforming. Everything is going digital. It says the success of the IRS's digital identity program and of similar efforts across the federal government will ultimately depend not on how futuristic the technology is, but on how well its use is governed. Well, what's going to govern ultimately the use of these different federal government agencies and institutions? It's going to be AI. Okay. So you got the IMF. They're getting involved with digital payments. The IRS is adding biometric digital identity for taxpayers. And let's see what's next here. Virginia Police Department launches facial recognition program under strict oversight. So police departments are changing. Bristol PD using Clearview AI through LexisNexis partnership. It says, in a move that places it at the forefront of biometric policing in Virginia, the Bristol, Virginia Police Department has formally launched a facial recognition technology program that is designed to bolster investigative capacity while enforcing strict accountability and civil liberty protections. Bristol is a city under 20,000 residents. Right, start small, next to the Tennessee border. The police department's adoption of facial recognition places it within a small cohort of law enforcement agencies across Virginia that are leveraging biometric tools within the boundaries of state law. So this is just the beginning. They test out this new technology in different, smaller cities around the country in different states. And then, as they see the success of it, they begin to expand to more major cities. And then it's all over. Like I said, this is the image of the beast. everything, law enforcement, how you make your payments, how you pay your taxes, everything is going to digital to where you have to be identified. Okay, that's the image of the beast. It says, however, the thoroughness of Bristol's FRT policy, its publicly accessible documents, and its commitment to annual oversight distinguish it from its counterparts. In a national climate where transparency and surveillance are often at odds, Bristol has charted a path that emphasizes structure, consent, and accountability. So, once again, they're adding surveillance into this. And I mentioned about Palantir. And they want to use this system called Clearview AI. So police departments are going to work with AI to identify you. It says officers can submit a probe image, such as one obtained from a security camera or a witness, and receive a ranked list of potential matches. So this would be I don't know if y'all remember that movie with Batman, the Christian Bale Batman. I forget which one. Dark Knight Rises, and he had what's his name? Lucius Fox, which is played by Morgan Freeman, basically used the surveillance cameras around the city of Gotham to spy on everybody so he can find the villain. And it was through the phone, it was through cameras, it was through the internet. And they used that in that movie. That's that predictive programming. So this is what these different systems, AI systems, biometric facial recognition systems, Palantir satellite systems, and so forth, are going to use to put you in what? A digital prison. But it's not going to be with you in bars. It's just going to be, in your life. Here's another police system. Now this is dealing with ICE. It says new ICE mobile app pushes biometric policing onto American streets. It says U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has quietly deployed a new surveillance tool in its enforcement and removal operations arsenal. A smartphone app known as Motb Fortify, designed for ICE field agents. A smartphone app known as Motb Fortify, designed for ICE field agents. The app enables real-time biometric identity verification using facial recognition or contactless fingerprints. So they're adding technology to ICE. So if they're going to start to deport you Israelites, they're going to start to utilize this technology. And I did a video earlier on my walk this morning when they were, I mentioned about Jacob's trouble coming and how they're deporting the Northern Kingdom tribes, which are the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans, but now they're about to start coming at the Southern Kingdom, and they're going to start with the tribe of Levi and deport you so-called Haitians. And, who can tell you apart? We all look, Southern Kingdom look alike. You got Jake, you got Judah, you got Benjamin, you got Levi, especially out there in Florida. So now they're giving this new app to these ICE agents to biometrically identify you. It says, based on leaked emails reported by 404 Media, the introduction of Motb Fortify marks a profound shift in ICE's operational methodology. And I believe this is why they even set this whole thing up, so they can push this tech on you, on the citizens, and especially on our people here in America. It says it marks a profound shift in ICE's operational methodology of using traditional fingerprint-based stationary checks to using mobile, on-the-go biometric profiling that echoes the type of border surveillance previously confined to airports and ports of entry. These are real articles here, y'all. Okay? The Department of Homeland Security is involved. The ICE agency, they want to use facial recognition. It says beyond digital vulnerabilities, the legal framing of mobile fortified demands scrutiny. Yeah, because when you read the Constitution, it speaks about unlawful search and seizures. Unlawful search and seizure. Okay, it says border surveillance tools such as CBP's facial recognition at ports of entry have legal authority rooted in border entry reviews and consent-based processes. But using those same systems in domestic policing without public notice, warrants, or even agency guidelines opens the door to constitutional questions under the Fourth Amendment. Okay? Let's see what the Fourth Amendment is and we could be edified. Fourth Amendment. Okay, let's just see what it says. Yep. The Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. See, you got to know that law. Okay, a legal search and seizure. It says the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. It requires that warrants for searches and seizures be issued with probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, meaning you got to give verbal consent, right? That's why they ask you, do you certain questions, and you say yes or no, and specifically describe the place to be searched and the persons or things to be searched. So what they're doing is they're bypassing the Constitution. See, what we're living in is this isn't the America you once knew. This is the elite's new America based upon the New World Order agenda. This is the image of the beast forming. So I just wanted to bring this out and, shed some light on what's going on. On top of other things, of course. So, I'm just warning you, okay? Y'all saying, you got Jake's coming on my videos saying Jacob's trouble ain't coming, we coming out of it, things aren't. Listen, first of all, Jacob's trouble is coming to you Israelites, but it's coming to everybody, okay? It's coming all over America. But we here at GMS, the GMS camp, as the AI chat GPT says, the group that's known for prophecy, well, we've been warning you and prophesying about this time to come. And now we're seeing it begin to manifest. So the true men of the Lord have always been warning you. Okay? We're out here. We just pray we're of the elect. But we got the spirit. We got the 100% truth. And now it's beginning to show itself. So the time is coming where evils shall increase in this land. And Esau's going to use that the evils to come, the trouble to come, to achieve his plans. But we know that the Lord is going to deliver Jacob, deliver the elect, and destroy the system. But with that, I'm going to close out. Hope this lesson was edifying. All praises goes to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Kakwadash. Shalom.